So, the most anticipated episode of this show yet. Not saying a lot. It's only the fifth episode, so the most anticipated is relatively insignificant. But let me just say, before we really dive into this, it fucking delivered in every way. And not even in the way you'd expect. You would be like, oh, well, was the action just phenomenal, nonstop, in your face, gory, amazing, and oh, you couldn't predict, yada yada. To an extent, yeah, but it was the whole episode, the whole formula of the episode from start to finish, and the fact that they focused on things that you didn't really expect to be the centerpiece of this episode, but filled in and fit so perfectly with what we were watching that it just made for, I've got to say, a perfect episode. Before I really dive into this and go over the entire episode, I want to say that I super appreciate the amount of attention and comments, negative and positive, that the last video I made on this show is. I'm realizing that the buzz around this show must just be enormous if even I can get like over 1,000 views on something like this. And so I really appreciate that and just want to ask that if you have any other comments to say on this one, throw them down, throw on a like, throw on a dislike. I appreciate it all. And yeah, let's just get into this. So, starting off, we are thrust directly into right where we wanted to be. Trial of Seven. It's starting. What's about to happen? We have a pretty good idea our boy's going to be fine, but we have no clue, really, as just casual audience members, what's about to happen to everybody else. And instantly, Duncan gets lanced right to the stomach, and you're like, and he's on the ground, and it's like, oh shit, this is not good. And then we get a flashback, and the action's gone, and it's like, no, this not gonna like pay off because you've only got this fleeting 30 minutes of episode to get the payoff that you so want without having to wait another week for maybe now I'm starting to convince myself in the moment like fuck, it's not even gonna happen. They're gonna give us this BS backstory, and then we're gonna have to have the actual action be next week. Oh god! And then you get this backstory that is, it starts off kind of weird. There's this girl, Rafe, I believe, and it turns out that this is like Duncan's love interest, and you're suddenly finding yourself like really appreciating that we're getting this backstory of our main character because like it's important that this character that we're probably going to be with for seasons in a row right now, probably, is getting some crucial backstory, and just them guiding us through, giving us a little taste of like how he met Arlen and his mom. Like we're getting little hints of what's going on. We don't get the full story of it, but we're getting hints of it. And then this whole time you're telling yourself like, yeah, Rafe, she probably dies. I mean, it would make sense that she would die because like where else would she be? And then the show kind of throws a little twist at you where like, oh, well maybe she leaves and he doesn't. She's got enough money to get away, and so maybe he's like, you go and I'll stay, and like whatever. And she dies, right? And it's fucking brutal. It's like, damn. And then Arlen ends up being kind of the guy he confides in, even though it doesn't seem like he wanted that at all. And so it's kind of funny, not actually, but like how much that he adores this man, that even if he is doing nothing to show that he wants him around, he's just so indebted to him because he killed Rafe's murderer in a brutal way, an amazing beheading, just sick. Again, like I said, this episode is amazing. Another element with the backstory in mind that just adds to the quality of the content that we were given in this episode is the symmetry between Egg to Duncan and Duncan to Arlen, where we see that at the beginning Duncan is like, stay away from me, kid, whatever, I don't want to deal with you, yada yada, all that bullshit. And we see a similar thing that Duncan went through, and it's just this beautiful irony that it's like he's been there before. He was Arlen's squire, and now Egg is his squire, and clearly Egg admires Duncan in a way that Duncan doesn't understand, and Duncan admired Arlen in a way that maybe he didn't understand. And so it was just nice to see that he's been there before, which only goes to show that this relationship will develop and become so powerful over time because they've essentially been in not each other's shoes, but Duncan has been in his shoes, which should give him a greater appreciation for his desire to be his squire. The big takeaway here is that Duncan is loyal, and we are shown it throughout the show already, but it is hammered home, locked in place with this episode. And I just think it's super important because we needed to be able to completely latch onto this character and appreciate that this is our guy. We're rooting on our guy through and through no matter what. And I think that that is something that this episode, among so many other things, did perfectly. Like, I am now fully on board. This is my guy. Go Duncan. Fuck everybody who gets in his way. And then, most importantly, but honestly, with the way this episode was formatted, it's just another part of the episode. We get the actual full fight, front to back. And it's cool because the way they handle it is we're not really seeing what's going on from the perspective of all of the other characters. I mean, there are 14 characters fighting, and it's not just like this wide shot of everything happening all at once. Like, we'll see little flashes of like one moment, one fight, one duel going on here and there. But the main focus is obviously our boy and him versus the main op, Arian, and just them fighting. And I mean, we see Duncan just getting pieced up, angle from angle, and they're having a pretty even match for the most part. One will be up, one will be up, one will be down. But what's really cool about the fight is it switches back and forth from the angle of like the cinematic view where it's like the camera and the regular audio, and then from Duncan's perspective where he's just fucked. Can't hear anything, everything's buzzing, and he can't see because his fucking eye is fucked up, and he's just destroyed. He's got pierced in here, cut all over, getting stabbed left and right, and it makes it really realistic in the sense that he's a huge guy, so you can kind of accept that he's still able to fight through it to an extent, but also keeps it real enough to where it's like, yeah, but not really, right? And just the way they do the whole fight sequence between the two of them it's just so cool, and I feel like it's very unique. I feel like a lot more of the other Game of Thrones shows is a lot of just back and forth, and like the fatigue aspect of these characters is less shown, and I feel like this just felt like a super realistic fight that obviously ends in such a cool moment where it's like, oh, he's down, no, he's not, and then he gets Arian to yield, and just going to show that our guy is an honorable person. Anybody else, I'm sitting there screaming. He's like, Arian's like, I yield, right? And I'm like, no, just kill him, please. And he doesn't, because that's not who our guy is. And then to wrap up the episode, which was up till this point very, very cool, Baylor is in the room, and it feels like Duncan is about to go on the next step of his journey and become something important to Baylor, who is, the prince to be. And then it turns out that no, he has a mortal injury on the back of his head, and he is done. Cooked. And the show just flipped on itself. Now we're out of episode 5, and we had a direction, and now there's no direction. What's going to happen now? Everything just fell apart. Like, essentially it feels like we won, but it feels like we lost. And just such a cool little twist if you didn't know that he was going to die. I'm not sure if they mentioned it in Game of Thrones and spoiled the show in advance. I don't really know. I hadn't really looked into it that deep or remembered. I haven't watched it in years, but just overall, what an amazing episode start to finish. Every moment is crucial and important, and it ends with a huge twist, and our guy is real and destroyed, but is a badass. And overall, I just can't gush enough about how good I thought this episode was, and I look forward to seeing whatever they do in episode 6. I don't expect it to be up to this level, but I won't write it. I won't take it. I won't. Jeez Louise. I won't be shocked if they're able to pull something else off, or at least give us something more to look forward to and an idea of what's to come in future seasons, particularly season 2, obviously. Other than that, let me know your favorite part of this episode because I really, really think there's a lot to choose from. And leave a like if you thought that I broke it down well. And yeah, hope that you enjoyed as much as I did and hope everybody has a good one.